Okay, page 43, Canada's National Teen Driver Safety Week, Councillor Gilroy.
I make a motion that council proclaim October 16 to 22nd, 2016 as National Teen Driver Safety Week and advertise the proclamation on social media, website, and Facebook.
And our electronic sign.
Oh, well, okay, alright, and are any other, okay, and yes, and the sign.
Put it simply.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Obviously, there was a comment.
Isn't the
Where's
sign
it been?
based on the social media?
Hey,
Just say electronically, that'll cover everything.
Page 48, Outstanding
Electronics.
Citizen Nomination Policy.
46 is in the next with
Oh,
the
sorry, 46.
Letter of support.
letter of support.
Oh, sorry, missed it. Letter of support, 46. To have a motion, Councillor Panasic.
I make a motion that council direct administration to compose a letter of support for the High Prairie Medical Clinic.
Anybody have any comments or questions on this? Mayor Cox?
This letter of support, exactly what are we supporting? And I guess I would ask Councillor Rose that because she's the one that this letter, or that this is addressed to. So tell me what it is that the town is supporting.
Well, what I had originally put forward in the RFP was to support either that AHS approves the assessment that's been requested, or that they hand over the decision-making process to the College of Physicians and Surgeons, which is what the clinic had asked. I just thought that AHS should be asked first because they're the ones that are sort of tying the hands, right? That at this point, this is what we've been told when we had that meeting, was AHS has turned down the approval of an assessment for a out-of-country doctor for Dr. Laughlin and Dr. Edwards' clinic. They were supposed to meet afterwards because this doctor is still on hold and still is hoping to come to the community if they can get this approval. And to date, there had been no meeting. They don't anticipate the meeting having very much success. So we
you're
thought-
asking,
Yeah, sorry, anyway, it was just to ask for both things. The letter of support would go to Kevin Murray to say either approve it or step aside because the clinic here feels that you're in conflict and we support that.
well, right now, you're at, from what I'm getting from this conversation and what they're asking for, is that you're asking the town of High Prairie to send a letter to Alberta Health Services to change their policy. That they have a province-wide policy, that they have the final say on who gets assessed by the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So, the College of Physicians and Surgeons is a doctor-driven organization, which the doctors should be lobbying. Why are we getting involved in writing a letter of support to Alberta Health Services? Shouldn't the College of Physicians be writing a letter to Alberta Health Services because they are the ones that want to do the assessment? Or do they want to do the assessment? Maybe they don't want to do the assessment. We don't know if they want to do the assessment or not because nobody has been asking the College of Physicians and Surgeons, what part are you playing in this? And the College of Physicians and Surgeons is the doctors' body of, that's their organization. So I don't understand how we're getting in the middle of something like this when I don't think it's part of our, I don't think it's part of our mandate at this point. When we've written our letters of support, and I just don't see where we can make a difference by giving anything.
Well, if we're worried about how we get involved, I think we should still really consider the fact that they're asking. There's a clinic in the community that has 6,000 patients that's asking us for support because they feel like they are being unfairly treated.
And we have given that letter of support, and they have acknowledged the fact that we have given this letter of support. what would be the point of trying to lobby Alberta Health Services again? The College of Physicians and Surgeons should be asking us. Or something should be coming from the College of Physicians and Surgeons. They're the ones that have the interest of the doctors at heart.
Councillor Gilroy?
To a point, I agree with the mayor, that the letter probably should not be directed to Alberta Health Services. I would be in support of a letter that you've stated right here. It says the letter is support for the high priority medical clinics, attempt to have the decision power on whether their clinic qualifies for practice readiness assessment for an overseas doctor, any doctor that is, transferred to the College of Physicians and Surgeons or any other independent body. Since knowing I've been under doctors from other nations across the country, I would support a letter that actually went to the College of Physicians and Surgeons and said, so there may be a conflict of interest here because AHS is running the major clinic here, and and it's an unusual circumstance where they're running the clinic and they're getting most of the doctors for the hospital, and this is an independent. Would you assess this, take it under advisement and assess and make a decision yourself on whether you, as the College of Physicians, because you have to approve the guy anyway, or the girl, would you make an exception and you take over this part for our particular area? That kind of letter I would be in favor of, because it's not saying to Dr. Worry, we don't trust you. It's saying, you know what, this is unique, let them deal with it, because they're the ones who have to license the guy in the end. The College of Physicians and Surgeons, not AHS. So they're the ones who are responsible for all surgeons. So let them deal with it and not us, in that sense.
I think the concern comes from, until 2 years ago, the College of Physicians and Surgeons did make these approvals. It's only been in the last 2 years that that policy changed. So maybe there is confusion in who actually needs to get the letter, except for the clinic asked us to support a letter to Dr. Worry, who is now the North Zone Director, who obviously is the one that has final say. And I'm a little bit confused too as to why the College of Physicians and Surgeons even gave up their control on these assessments, because since this has happened, this is sort of what they feel has been the demise of their clinic, or to the point where they are right now with only 2 doctors, one that's waiting to come in and a few others that are certainly interested in coming, and they're not able to push that agenda forward at all.
And that's why I said that the letter should go to the surgeons. I would support that letter, but not necessarily one strictly to Dr. Worry. I think it should go to the source of who actually advocates for doctors in that. I'd go straight to them and say, you know what, if you want to keep your policy, tell Dr. Worry that it's all his to do. But you make the decision and not us.
So would it not be that the health minister should then be who would be directed?
I don't think you're hearing what Councillor Gilroy is saying.
But
He
should they
wants
not
it to
know
go to the College of Physicians and Surgeons.
Oh no, I've heard that, but I'm just saying as far as, there's been a problem with the way the assessment is being, like, we don't know everything about everything, right? So when somebody has a problem in the community and they bring it forward, we try to find out as much as we can about it. And this is a little bit confusing. Like, why until 2 years ago did the College of Physicians and Surgeons have all this control, and all of a sudden they handed it over to the government?
And
Did the government
I'm
want?
saying it doesn't matter. What matters is they make the decision, put it in their court, and if they want to support from the High Prairie Medical Clinic, our support from the town is to say, we will support your writing to the College of Physicians and let them deal with the mess. Because we've already had our meetings with Dr. Worry and Dr. Ivac and them.
No, and I could support that as long as, maybe we would CC Dr. Worry so he knew what was going
Well,
on,
that's,
and then.
that's why it's CCing
Yeah.
people, health minister,
Yeah.
Dr. Worry, whatever.
Yeah. And then everybody knows what
Yeah.
our concern is, yeah. Any other comments? Councillor Long?
Anybody who knows me knows currently I am not a huge fan of AHS, or the Minister of Health for that matter. But that being said, I think we're fighting a losing battle here. And as much as I respect the staff at the clinic, as much as I respect all the work that Dr. Laughlin and Dr. Edwards has done, and they've helped me a great deal after my accident. But at the end of the day, AHS is now the body that controls these issues. And like it or not, whether they feel it's a conflict of interest or not, is really irrelevant. The reality is, AHS is the one that decides and will have the structure in place that decides who comes and who goes and what kind of billing practices and what kind of business model doctors are going to work under. And the clinics of Dr. Lachlan, Dr. Edwards' day are fewer and fewer and fewer. And they all fall under, and will be falling under, the AHS guideline. That's the way I interpret this. Dr. Worry, when we met with him at AUMA, basically stated that change was coming and this was going to happen. I don't see how we are going to affect change one iota by sending a letter to them and convoluting the waters when we've already had discussions with them time and again and are fully comprised and aware of what the structure is and how the building is going to be, and the model of Dr. Laughlin's offices are going to be a thing of the past. So I may be wrong on that interpretation of it, but that's the way I took it from them. You were there, Brian?
Yeah, and from my perspective, I feel that we, when we met with Dr. Worry at AUMA, we supported the health and wellness clinic, and I still do. But that being said, we can still, I think, support the private clinics in the region, and that's why I was putting this down. I like the ideas of the health and wellness centers. I want to see if it'll work, and I think that there's some, some good things going to happen for our community as a result of the health and wellness clinic. So I think that was a good decision we made, but I think we can still do both. We're not saying no to the health and wellness center by supporting a private clinic along with it. We're just saying we would like to see both options in our community. That's the way
Councillor Danaka?
The last letter that we had sent out, we had sent out a letter to, I believe, Sarah Hoffman. I'm not sure if it went to Worry. I can't remember who it all, but that we support the Dr. Lachlan and Dr. Edwards being able to have a spot, I think, in the new hospital. Was that not correct? No? Or we supported their clinic anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of struggling with this in the sense that, I mean, when we had the meeting with the doctors, we had Dr. Worry and IBAC, and then we had Dr. Edwards and Dr. Lachlan showed up, and he said that they were, he said that they were, going to schedule a meeting, and then it was at 7:30 in the morning, which was, I mean, really not feasible or whatever. So I'm not sure exactly what the actual issue is between AHS, Dr. Worry, and Dr. Lachlan and Dr. Edwards' clinic. That's beyond our scope. I'm not sure why he doesn't want to meet with them, why there's stalling between him and them. I don't know. As opposed to this, I don't know if our letter will mean anything by saying, to the College of Physicians and Surgeons or to Dr. Worry, please step down. We don't, we need you to, it's a conflict of interest. So I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what our letter will do in regards to this whole convoluted issue between AHS and Dr. Edwards and Dr. Lachlan.
Well, I wonder if we can just ask this council, do they feel like it's a conflict of interest when Alberta Health Services hires the recruiter and has the final say with the assessment process? If we don't feel like that, then we don't really want to support it. If we feel like there's a conflict, that's all they're trying to do is bring attention to the fact that they feel there's a conflict, and somebody else should get involved in supporting keeping the opportunity for assessment to be different than just Alberta Health Services? Mayor Cox?
I don't think that it's up to the town to analyze the policies of Alberta Health Services and decide whether or not that their policies are right or wrong or whatever, because that is their policy, that the College of Physicians and Surgeons does the assessment. The only thing really that we can do is ask the College of Physicians and Surgeons to work with Alberta Health Services in this situation, and maybe draw attention to the fact that we feel there is a need for more doctors in this town, and if we had the statistics of what their population is, that would be the support that we could give to the doctors' licensing body to say we need more doctors, because you're not going to get anything from Alberta Health Services. No point writing a letter to them, that's their policy, province-wide. So I don't know if you really makes a difference if we write a letter or not, but they did ask for a letter of support. I think we just have to figure out what kind of support can we give them and where can we make the most impact, little as it may be.
Any other comments? So the councillor, Mayor Cox?
I'm not sure who made the motion.
I made the motion, but I think it needs to be clarified because it is very broad in that it just says a letter of support. It doesn't say to who and what, and there's lots of discussion around that, right?
Did you want to amend or clarify?
Yeah, I would amend it that we would send this to, the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And we would be, supporting the need for more doctors in our community. And we would be CCing it to, the health minister and Dr. Worry along with that, based on the numbers. And we also have the numbers that, we had our count, and I believe, so that would be the motion. Then I'm rambling. But the ramble is that, I think at our intermunicipal meeting, there was a time where we did some, I think it was, we got some numbers from, was it you that was different numbers again?
Legislative Black Economic Alliance has got numbers, and it comes to 16,000, and they are verified numbers, so we can use those numbers
So
to
there's
support our letter.
16,000, so we could use those numbers in the letter to go forward.
Would we also CC both clinics, or at least the one clinic that's brought up the
Absolutely.
because you're talking to CCs right now. so.
Absolutely.
And our MLA.
And our MLA, sure.
Councillor Danaka?
I'm just reading their letter, that's attached here. It says, it would be very nice to have a letter of support, re the obvious conflict of interest sent to Dr. Worry, the health minister, as well as Linda Hughes, chair of the new board. So we may want to include her in your motion.
I don't know who Linda Hughes is. At the chair of what new board?
She's the new chair of the AHS, the board of directors for AHS.
Oh, okay.
And,
Why don't we just make it, addressed to College of Physicians and Surgeons, addressed to College of Physicians and Surgeons, and CCs to the relevant,
Good.
Yeah,
Participants.
CC to the other relevant parties, yeah.
parts.
we have been asked to send this letter regarding the concern that there is perceived conflict of interest. Is that point going to be in this letter? Because if so, I won't support it.
Mayor Cox?
I would myself not support that either. I believe that we need to support the fact that we need more doctors in our community, and that, perhaps word it that, there has been a not a conflict, but, between parties, something like that, but certainly reference the fact that there has not been a,
Support
support for more doctors in this.
Yes.
And an understanding that there are doctors waiting for assessments in the area, something that, like,
Possibly.
yeah, so we're not actually
But
saying
it's
that
the
there's a
support
conflict,
that
but
we're
we're just, we understand there's though, that there are physicians that are waiting to be assessed and to be employed and retained in the area.
You want this letter before it goes out circulated to all counselors.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. Does anybody else care?
You want it brought back before approval, before it gets sent.
Or just email them, or we can do it by consensus.
I'll just email.
Okay. Are we good with the motion? Did you have something else, Councillor Gilbert?
I guess the wording I'm just a little curious on, because all HS has to say is, we're bringing people in. I think it really needs to have something about, this is a very special circumstance. Something, without, if we can do it, I trust that men will do it in such a way that it'll show that, we need them to solve the impasse, because that's really what it is, to be fair to everybody. If we can put it like that, I would be very happy with it, because it's not condemning AHS, it's just saying AHS is doing their best, the other clinics doing their best, but they're just not
And
connected.
just like due to the unique nature of this situation,
Right.
because of our.
And I'd support that one.
Mayor Fox?
Alberta Health Services is not doing their job. As a matter of fact, 50 students from a medical practitioner were taken to Slave Lake for a tour of their facilities yesterday. They then skipped High Prairie and they went to McLennan and did a tour of the facilities there. 50 students from Alberta. So don't tell me that they are letting people know that this High Prairie Hospital and area is available. So.
No, and I think that when we talked about just saying that Alberta Health Services, that's their policies, that's their rules, you know, what's our role in it? Our role is to make sure that our community doesn't get missed and our community doesn't lose out. And right now we have residents of our community that look after 6,000 patients in the area, drawing attention to the fact that they don't feel the system's very fair and they feel something's wrong, and then this is the way that we can help, is by recognizing that there might be a wrong that needs to be righted.
So, okay, we will, we'll craft a letter, email it around. You'll see who the CCs are, make your comments, and send it back to administration.
All those in favor? Carried. Now, page 48, outstanding citizen nomination policy.
Dr. Word.
He's not a resident of Hyper.
Do you have a motion, Councillor Courtly, or just comments?
Why don't you make the
Just
motion?
verbal diarrhea.
Does anybody have a motion on the outstanding citizen proposal policy? I will make a motion. The council approve the new outstanding citizen nomination policy. Councillor Long.
Thank you for that recognition. At the Sesquicentennial Committee meeting, we had discussions from, started with Tammy Kalita and Linda, and there was a book that was published in 1967. That book was written by the four most highly educated women in our area, and they did a historical book with all of the facts and dates and who was first in High Prairie, and did that all back in 1967 for a centennial. And it's an amazing book, and it's detailed to the nth degree, and it's insightful, and it's witty, and it's really interesting. I didn't even know it existed until saw the book at the Sesquicentennial Committee meeting. The discussion was, not one of those women were ever put on our wall, on our monument. And so they were thinking for the Sesquicentennial that those four women would be recognized for their contributions for the work they did on our centennial in 1967. 4.
Oh, so
This-
that's
As
your
opposed
this
to, as
motion-
opposed to 3 awards. There you go.
Mayor Cox.
I think you're wrong when you say they were not recognized. For example, is Violet Commissar, and she is on the Wall of Fame at the county because she doesn't live in town. And I believe that a couple of the other ones also don't live in town. So again, they would not be on our monument because of the fact that they live in the country.
Oh.
Councillor Gill.
Alright, curious.
Since we're looking at the outstanding citizen nomination that you were in front of us, I was looking at the policy statement. It says the selection committee shall consider up to 3 awards to be given annually to honor a High Prairie and area resident who enhances. And I'm thinking, and area would probably be county. But secondly, under eligibility, 1.4 says nominee must reside in the town of High Prairie. So there's a conflict in wording there that I'd like to change. And the other is, under this process, I was wondering how the selection committee is done. Who does it?
We do.
Well,
Everything.
We didn't do it very well last time.
Mr. Martinson.
I phoned the county and asked how they did it. They did it by secret ballot on the nominations that they had received in front of them. And I know it was brought up here before at this council that we were gonna allow a committee be formed basically with the chamber to make the selection committee, to take it away from council making that decision. So we do have representation on the chamber, so we would receive the names forwarded on to them. And then after they made their decision, they'd send it back to us.
And I think if this council's not comfortable with the decision-making process yet, we can approve the policy, get this in place, and then we can make a decision on how, because that was a conversation that I think that the executive director had with the CAO as to offering sort of some support or some service, like some help with choosing Citizen of the Year, as well as a place to present it, because I think the offer came to have the Citizen of the Year presented at the gala, the chamber gala, and you know, the offer of a table there for the space, like, you know, a trade. So that was all part of an offer to the town. It wasn't they wanted to take over looking after Citizen of the Year by any means. It was just, we knew that in the past this council said, we don't really know if we like the idea of just taking those applications and then having to choose at a council meeting who's gonna be your Citizen of the Year. We wanted a different process. So they could be 2 separate things. They don't have to do.
I have no problem with it, with who makes the decision. I just wanted to have it clarified that after we do this, that we say, okay, this is the process of selection. Then it comes, if they're making it, if it's a combination of this group and this group, great. They bring it back here, we make the final decision, end of story. I just want it clear, but I also, as I said, wanted to get that clarification on the town area thing.
Sure. Councillor Panasic?
I had the same concern, and I think it needs, like, you know, I wrote down who's in the selection committee, and that should be defined in this policy so that the next group understands who it is, and it's written down that is it going to be, you know, the council, and is it gonna be a secret vote that's got some merits, as opposed to a public meeting and everybody voting and saying, you know, I like that person, but I'm not gonna support that person, which I think is crazy. And in some cases, like our last one, I wasn't really aware of any of the nominations, so I couldn't really, I mean, my votes meant nothing to vote on them because I didn't know what they contributed or have much of a say. So I think we need to define that and put it in the policy. That's the one thing that I think is missing in this policy is who is the selection committee? How will they make those decisions? And that needs to be defined. Otherwise, the next group goes, well, who's the selection committee?
Mayor Fox?
I don't think I'd want to confine the next council to who it is. I would like to see in here that it says that the selection committee may consist of council or could be an outside organization at council's discretion. Selection must be done by secret ballot. And that leaves tells them how they have to do it or who's doing it, and it leaves it open to the chamber or us, maybe somewhere along the line, the next council says, you know, we want a citizens advisory group, and we're gonna create one, then you can turn it over to them. But it does leave that option open as to each council deciding who is the selection group, and let them decide themselves.
Mr. Martinson?
I still think it would be okay for council to make that decision on a secret ballot. Nobody's gonna know who's voting. Some years, I would think it'd be it's very seldom that we ever did get more than 3 nominations in any given year. So, I know we limited, the first time I did this, when I went back and looked, there was only 1 award per year, and then I could see that being a problem. But 3 is,
So how would it look if we were to receive 3 nominations? Would all 3 people get the award? Or would we just
if council
choose?
so deserved, that's,
It says up to 3.
Yeah, I know.
Up to
Because we don't necessarily have to
Yeah,
choose.
you
But
don't
still,
have
it's
to-
not very clear as to what we would do with just 3, right?
says up to 3, you don't have to choose 3.
But how would you do that in a secret ballot? Would you just put down?
You could vote for 1, it's the
and
same as on
leave it
election.
blank?
Same as election, when you're voting for council, you don't have to vote for 6 councilors, you can vote for 1, 2, 5.
Okay, that's, you put the names on,
Put
check
the
who
names on.
you would vote for.
Up to 3.
So if they get 1 vote from somebody on council, then they get it.
Not necessarily.
If there's only 3 people.
Well, if there's only 3 people, they get 1 vote, they're in.
No.
Majority.
Well,
No, they're right. Because it says up to 3, so if you only have 3, automatically they're all gonna be on it.
as long as they get 1 vote.
Yeah.
We need a process.
Minimum 2.
Or maybe minimum consensus, like, you know, we have to have a consensus to pass a motion, right? So if they don't get 4 votes, then they're not going forward.
We're stripping that down.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, I mean, the selection committee we need to define, and that's why that was my issue with the policy, is we need to know who that's going to be, and if it's council and it's a secret vote, I can live with that. But we still should define does it have to be at least so many votes, or the majority of council agree, or is it 1 vote from on a secret ballot?
Councillor Garaka?
I've sort of always had an issue with this particular
Backpatting?
this
Award?
particular award, because I to me it seems to have lost its value or its focus. I mean, I'm glad to see that it's brought back again, because we've skipped last year, we didn't have 2 years, okay, so 2 years. I mean, it's nice. I mean, people, yeah, it needs to be, like, it says outstanding citizen. If we're gonna go with 3, shouldn't it say citizens? Like, I mean, I'm getting into the little nitpicky things of that. So, I mean, do we wanna go back and make it like a celebration of 1? Or a celebration of 3? Or depending on, out of 3 people, whoever many gets the most votes, that's Citizen of the Year. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
So you like 1 is basically what you're saying. You like to have the award, but you see it, there's more value if it's just 1 person.
Like a celebration of 1, and I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's celebrate it. Like, in all honesty, if you look at what the town does for its citizens in recognition, zip. Absolutely zip. We have nothing for them. We do nothing. We talk about it, we talk about it, and we talk about it. We can't even get together to have a barbecue. We can't even get together to decide, okay, we're gonna have a citizens barbecue, free hot dogs and poppin' wieners. We can't even decide that we can do that. Like, I mean, we gotta do something, people. We gotta do something to celebrate the people of this town. Whether it's 1 or 2 or 3, but if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's make it a celebration. Let's have a party. Let's have hot dogs and barbecue and something. Let's celebrate the people that have elected us. Let's celebrate the people who choose to make High Prairie their home. And it doesn't have to be spectacular. It doesn't have to be all, a whole horde of money thrown at everything. But we have to start doing something because there is this gap of us and the citizens. Because they don't feel valued. That could be why, I'm getting off topic here, I'm on my soapbox now. That could be why we have nobody in the gallery. They don't feel that they matter. They don't feel that they have a say. They don't feel a part of this. And we have to start making them feel valued. We have to start making them feel a part of their town. And we have we have basically, 1 year left to do that. So let's try and do something for the citizens of this town. Be this or something.
Councillor Gilroy.
I like soapboxes. I think there's two different things, and I like your second idea, and I would love to see that put in the budget deliberations that you're going to do in the fall. If you want to have a special day to beginning to honor them next year for your whatever sort of celebration you're looking at in the budget deliberation, so it's there. We can't argue about whether or not we can afford it or not. It's in the budget. And secondly, I like the idea of having one person, and maybe that's the day you have the big celebration. It is in honor of whoever the outstanding citizen is. So that we both come together. But one person sometimes is better than multiple ones, unless there's a tie. Then we get 2.
Back to 2. Councillor Panassi?
I like the idea too of maybe tying that award, and when you give it out, the recognition that you're talking about, if we can combine it with the chamber and their awards banquet and tying it into that, because it is Town of High Prairie, it's a big event, usually a premier speaker or something, and that works good. It's a good way of, I think, doing it that way too. That's another good option.
Definitely does that.
And that's why it was brought forward that way, so we could celebrate them, and I agree with you, we're missing the boat, and we've discussed this before. They are 2 topics, and we're getting a little off in it, but a great idea to bring back on an RFD is that we take a look at allocating some dollars for citizens appreciation. But this one, we tried to do it we tried to make an offer from the Chamber of Commerce in a affordable fashion, so it wouldn't cost the town any dollars to be able to celebrate it. And maybe going forward we could change maybe that's not the way that the town will decide to continue to give out that award, but if we were to put this policy in place fairly quickly, we can choose somebody this year, we can still present this year in October. And that was why this kind of came forward now. So let's get a policy in place, let's advertise it, let's get Citizen of the Year chosen, and let's celebrate a citizen at the Chamber Gala this year, which is the end of October. Councillor Danette.
I have no problem with that. My concern is, hypothetically, if I wasn't on council and I was a citizen and I was nominated and I was going to go to the gala, I wouldn't attend. Because that's not something, that gala is too over the top for me.
But I think that you would know who got the award, right? Would you
Yes.
not? Yeah, sorry.
This rebuttal,
Mayor Cox.
I agree with Councillor Tanaka. I think that if you move it in with the gala, which sounds like a good idea, but then you start getting down to the nitty-gritty, the celebration costs money. And it's going to be $50 a ticket, at least, to go to the gala. You're not going to get many people out to come, not even probably family, because they'll be saying, I'm not going, thank you very much, but you go yourself.
The town was offered a table of 10.
Well, that's going to help all of our citizens. However, again, we're off. We're off topic here. It's just the policy here, not how we're going to celebrate it.
want to make an amendment or just send this back to, there's a few changes that people are talking about. You making the changes?
Obviously, we have to make the changes.
Do we wanna consider approving it as amended? Is there enough,
Selection
the
committee
change is small
consisting
enough?
of all of council.
Bring back the draft. So I'm on
Okay.
So I'm gonna, on the draft, I'm gonna only consider up to one person.
Okay.
And instead of saying the selection committee, you will say
The select-
council will.
The selection committee shall consist of all of council.
Or council.
And then in the back part of this, on the voting, I'll put that it'll be a secret ballot.
Can you put all of council and or a delegate? Because then if council decides to delegate it elsewhere, they can, right? So we open it up to council, or we open it up to, if the next council wants to include a citizens, committee, they can use the citizens committee. Then we have a policy that works for it all, council on?
We get to vote on some pretty mundane, droll, monotonous stuff sometimes. And this is, how many times do we come back to the raising and lowering of flags? So, all I'm saying is that this is one of the good things that we can vote on. It's something we should be a part of. It was the responsibility of council forever. And for whatever reason, we dropped the ball on it. So I think the onus comes back to us. It's our responsibility. It should be our responsibility. It should be something we're proud of to take on. And I agree, it should be one person. Make it simple. Secret ballot. It's our responsibility, and we should be able, if we have our finger on the pulse of this community, we should be able to identify, yes, this person merits and warrants this recognition. And then you make your vote.
We need hot dogs in the park.
Hot dogs always.
And where we fell down last time was, we discussed each application. And that was a mistake. Here's your criteria, here's your application, or whatever.
Vote on your criteria.
Vote, and that's it, and there is no discussion of promoting
Public discussion.
someone over one of the others, because that was a problem.
That is
This,
terrible.
this is a good application. Why is this person a standing citizen? Membership association. It's very clear. It's a resume on why they deserve to be in there, whoever filled it out.
So what motion do we have on the table?
To accept the policy, right, to accept the
So- So I made that motion, so I'll withdraw that motion.
David,
Or your motion?
Yeah.
My motion, okay, sorry.
And,
Did we send it back to?
make a motion for administration to
Revise.
revise and bring back a second draft.
I'll do a draft and I'll email it to all of you.
Okay.
I'll bring it back at a future meeting. That's the motion to bring it back.
We'll bring it back to you. Yeah, we still have time, but you can email it, you can
Yeah.
have a look at it, and it can come back ready to just approve, right? Hopefully. Okay, all those in favor?